I want you to overpay for marketing and advertising. This is Team Growth Principles number 19, and it's counterintuitive to everything you've ever learned about advertising. You've learned to get the lowest cost leads possible, and I'm about to tell you, you need to overpay for marketing and advertising. I'm Nick McLean, the founder of Team Growth Brokerage, the first ever team-centric brokerage in North America. As we're shooting this video right now in 2026, we are in phase 1, launching 10 states in the first 3 months of our existence by July 15th, 2026. And then we move on to phase 2, which is 50 states in 18 months. So if you want to learn more about Team Growth Brokerage, the first ever brokerage as a service built as an infrastructure for team leaders across North America, go to teamgrowthbrokerage.com. Now, principle number 19, overpay for the best position marketing. Right around 2015, I decided to get a billboard in my local town. And I went to this billboard company, Lamar, and I said, what availability do you have and what's your cost? And he gave me my cost. And he said, billboards are typically $1,000 to $2,000 a month. However, I do have some inventory available at $500 a billboard. So I said, great, I will take 6. I would rather have 6 billboards than 2 or 3 premium billboards. Let's do that. So I did. I ran 6 billboards in my town for about a year. And you want to guess how many phone calls I got? 1 phone call. It was somebody from out of town, and they were stopped at a stoplight in a random part of town, and they called me and we listed their house. So I spent roughly $3,000 a month over 12 months, $36,000 for 1 listing. The ROI wasn't that good. Fast forward, I got out of the billboard space. I thought it was just a complete waste of money, more egotistical than anything, doesn't result in any business. And then there was this premium billboard that you have to pass as you go into town and you have to pass as you exit town. It was a premium billboard, and it was owned, meaning leased by Les Schwab Tires, a Oregon tire company that was pretty dominant in California, Oregon, and Washington. And it was coming available, but Les Schwab had that billboard as long as I'd been into town. In fact, they had that billboard for 26 years straight. 26 years straight. But what happened was Les Schwab, the family, sold to a company in California. So my rep called me. It was a friend of mine. He said, Nick, you won't believe it. That billboard's coming available. I know you said you didn't want to be in the billboard space, but this one's available and it's premium. I said, well, how much is it? And he gave me the price, and it was premium. It was equivalent of the 6 billboards I had before for one billboard. And you know what? I pulled the trigger and I did it. And fast forward 3 years later, I will never get rid of this billboard because every single person that comes into town and out of town sees it. In fact, the awareness of our brand skyrocketed. Even though I was pretty well known, I had built my team to 20% market share at one point. This has just taken us to a whole nother level. So I can literally trace almost every lead that we get to that billboard. Now, the billboard isn't the reason they hire us, and it isn't the reason they call us, but I can guarantee this: if they go to Google, they recognize our name. If they come into town, they recognize our name. If I donate to any charity or event, they recognize our brand. And so you want to find the very best positioned billboard, and you want to overpay for it because it's worth probably 10x, maybe even 100x of inferior positioned. Now, the same principle works in all other marketing. It works in radio. You might say radio doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work if you're advertising from 6P to 7A or 6P to 6A, which is 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. No one's listening to the radio, right? But a properly positioned radio spot that's, say, during drive time at 6A to 9A or 6A to 7A at the top of the hour, that one radio ad could be, 10 times as much as a radio ad in the middle of the night, but it's worth it. In fact, it's probably so much less. Let's say a radio ad is $100 in the morning, or maybe even $1,000 in the morning, but you could get 100 of them overnight. You're going to take the one in the morning. I'm telling you, you're going to take the one in the morning. You need to overpay for that. And so, in fact, I've been doing radio for over a decade, and I can tell you this, that I don't have as many radio ads as people think, but they hear me all the time. I run into people all over the marketplace. Hey, Nick, I hear you on the radio all the time. You're always on the radio. No, I'm not always on the radio. I'm always on the radio when you're in your car. And that's the most important thing about marketing. So overpay for the best position marketing. It goes with Google, it goes with Facebook, it goes with everything. Stop going to the lowest bid, go to the highest bid and see your results massively change.